Hi everyone, I'm Kim Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from around the country. Following the fatal shooting death of Alton Sterling and in the wake of protests taking place, Bishop Robert Munch of Baton Rouge is urging the local community to be ministers of healing to a hurting world. The incident took place July 5th outside a convenience store in Baton Rouge when two white police officers wrestled a 37-year-old black man to the ground and shot him. A cell phone video of the encounter and shooting was posted online. In the statement released by Bishop Munch, he said that we find ourselves facing the many emotions that accompany acts of violence. We experience sadness, anger, frustration, and fear. But the bishop asked members of the community not to let anger move them to inflict pain on others, but instead to be ambassadors of hope and mercy. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards asked the U.S. Justice Department to lead a civil rights investigation into the killing. According to news reports, Sterling was confronted by police after an anonymous caller reported being threatened by someone with a gun outside the store. In news now from the Vatican, the Vatileaks 2 trial has come to a conclusion with Judge Giuseppe Della Torre, head of the tribunal of the Vatican City State, ruling July 7th that the court had no legitimate jurisdiction over journalists Gianluigi Nuzzi and Emiliano Fittipaldi. However, the court did find their source, Monsignor Lucio Valio Balda, secretary of the Prefecture of the Economic Affairs of the Holy See, guilty of stealing and passing on secret documents. He was sentenced to 18 months behind bars. He also found guilty was Francesca Ciauchi of the former Pontifical Commission for Reference on the Economic Administrative Structure of the Holy See. She was given a 10-month suspended sentence for encouraging the leaking of the information. Nicola Maio, Monsignor Valio Balda's former assistant, was found not guilty and acquitted of all charges. Shortly after the court's ruling, Father Federico Lombardi, Vatican spokesman, released a statement saying the trial was necessary to ensure that Vatican law regarding the leaking of private documents is respected. More news now from the Vatican. Pope Francis met this past week with about 200 people from the French province of Lyon who are homeless, living in poverty, or coping with an illness or disability. The Pope told the group why they are important members of the Church. Catholic News Service has more from the Pope Paul VI Audience Hall.
La Chiesa che ama e preferisce quello che Gesù ha amato e preferito non può stare tranquilla finché non ha raggiunto tutti coloro che sperimentano il rifiuto, l'esclusione e che non contano per nessuno. Nel cuore della Chiesa voi ci permettete di incontrare Gesù perché ci parlate di Lui non tanto con le parole ma con tutta la vostra vita. Testimoniate l'importanza dei piccoli gesti alla portata di ciascuno che contribuiscono a costruire la pace, ricordandoci che siamo fratelli e che Dio è Padre di tutti noi.
That group was on pilgrimage to Rome with Cardinal Felipe Barbarin of Lyon and the Altogether with Dignity Fourth World Movement, which was founded by Father Joseph Rydzinski, who ministered to deprived families in urban and rural parishes. In news now from around the world, the Irish Parliament has defeated legislation that would have allowed abortion in cases described as fatal fetal abnormality. Members of the lower house voted 95 to 45 July 7th to reject the amendment. The Irish Constitution provides for an equal right to life for mothers and their unborn children. However, in 2013, abortion was legalized in cases where there is a substantial risk to the life of the mother. Health Minister Simon Harris, opposing the legislative change, told the parliamentary debate it can never be said that a fetus with a fatal fetal abnormality will not be born to live for a short time. He went on to say that if a fetus has the capacity to be born, it has the protection of the Constitution. Pro-life campaigners have pointed out that children in these circumstances often do live beyond birth, and some go on to lead healthy lives. And finally in the news, Cardinal Robert Sarahs, prefect of the Vatican's Congregation for Divine Worship and the Sacraments, recently made some comments that have sparked questions about the direction priests should face while celebrating Mass. During the Sacra Liturgia Conference in London, July 5th, he urged priests and bishops to start celebrating Masses ad orientem, or facing away from the congregation, beginning the first Sunday of Advent this year. Father Andrew Menke, Associate Director of the USCCB's Divine Worship Office, said Cardinal Sarahs is not changing the legislation, but rather giving his opinion on what would help people pray better. Ad Orientem worship involves the priest and congregation facing the liturgical east rather than facing each other during Mass. The east has significance as the place where the sun rises, symbolizing the resurrection of Christ and his second coming. Well, that's all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date with Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.